We are live. We are alive. All right, let's let this notify a few people. All right. Let the people get notified, and then we can get started. All right. Gonna have a good stream today, people. It's been an eventful couple of days for me. I've been working, been building a greenhouse, something I'll be posting about. My son's been helping me with that, which, homeschooling, the best part about homeschooling is children don't lose their love of learning. Like, you think about it, the average second, third grader has already said at one point in their life, I hate school, right? I hate school, I don't want to do this. It's like, for anyone that's actually been around children, they love learning. They are the most curious little people on planet Earth. And, they're curious about everything. Like, I love the why phase. Why? And after like 4 whys, you're like, oh man, I don't know. I'm going to have to look that up before I get back to you. And then they go to school, and by second or third grade, they, quote unquote, hate learning. I mean, what a travesty. What a travesty. Yeah, I was putting up a greenhouse yesterday. I got a real cool video. My son, he's only 3 years old, so it's not like I had him for 7 hours putting up a greenhouse with me. But he participated for 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and I had him, doing really cool stuff. He was finding where I marked the wood with pencil, and then he was taking the drill, and he was drilling holes into the wood. I'm actually going to post a video about it when I'm done with the greenhouse, but why would I post it before the greenhouse is fully built? At the end of the video, I want to show what he built. And it's so cool because he'll take ownership over that, right? He'll be able to look back in 10 years and know that he participated in building that greenhouse. He has ownership over it. He will be involved in every aspect of it, the planting of the seeds, the growing of the food. And think about the skills he's learning at such a young age, where at 3 years old, he's learning the basics of carpentry. He's learning construction, how to build with his hands, planting seeds, watering the plants, harvesting your crops, spacing everything out, taking the harvest, and then we'll cook meals with it. Well, maybe he could host a little farmer's market in a greenhouse that he built, right? And that's what homeschooling's all about. It's that homeschool is life school. And today we're going to talk about getting started with homeschooling, because for those of you that missed it, I had Kirsten Morley on yesterday at 12 o'clock. I'm going to post the replay of that to my YouTube in the next couple of days. I'm a little bit behind with my repost. And Kirsten is this account updates. You have 9 credits. Okay, Kirsten is this amazing mother. She's, hi, good morning, Nikki McGaver. And any of you have any questions about homeschooling, anything else, ask me, but I am going to cover homeschool getting started, which is the topic of this, but, everything I'm talking about is relevant to that. So my son is in private school now, but there are so many that are learning from you. Love your videos. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Oh, it's so funny. I just posted a TikTok right before I came on, and I posted it to Instagram too, and I'm getting notifications. And the TikTok I had just posted was, basically me in a car saying that, my grandfather fought in World War II, bombs, bullets, death, limbs being blown off, and you want to give away your rights because you're afraid. And then I open the car door and walk out, and someone on my Instagram just commented, Smedley Butler. So I know, certain people will see that, and they'll be like, how dare you? Are you supporting the military-industrial complex? No one's more outspoken against the military-industrial complex than myself. That's a talk for another day. But that doesn't take away from what my grandfather did, the courage he showed, the conviction, because really every soldier that's gone to war believes at the very least they're 18 years old and they believe they're fighting for liberty. And they're willing to do that for freedom, yet people in today's society are willing to surrender all of their rights because the news media told them they should be afraid. It's pathetic. Looking for a curriculum online, 2 to 3 hours. Look into Abeka and Time for Learning. Recently moved, so we're going to have to make a new one. I've had my oldest homeschool for 3 years. That's great. So I had Kirsten Morley on yesterday. Great homeschool mom, and she told the story of really a public school nightmare, that her daughter was coming home every day very upset, and her daughter came home, she's crying, 7, 8 years old. I don't want to go to school anymore. And Kirsten went into the school and wanted to talk about what was happening, and one of the children at the school was bullying her daughter, and ultimately Kirsten decided that it wasn't the environment she wanted her daughter to be in, and she pulled her out of school, and now she's homeschooling. And she had mentioned that she comes from an area with a lot of broken homes, which to me is so telling, because we live in this society which relentlessly encourages people to embrace this hookup culture, this be a player type culture, right? This how many people, like, just this gross culture. And a culture that mocks family, right? It mocks traditional family. It mocks people who decide to wait. It mocks people who get married and have lots of children, right? Because that's not what the system wants, right? The system doesn't want you married in a strong home with children. It wants broken homes. And what I was telling Kirsten is that when you live in an area with a lot of broken homes, and it's unfortunate, statistically speaking, you're going to get a lot of abuse. And children that are abused at home are more likely to be bullies and abuse people at school. So it really is a violent, vicious cycle. And by the way, those statistics will blow your mind. Look up the you know what aphilia rates in families with unmarried single mothers. And that's not a knock on single mothers. It's just statistically, predators know that when they see a single mother, they can get into the home, and then they use that relationship with the mother to get to the child. And it's an epidemic in the United States of America and around the world. And it stems from, it's not the government's fault, right? It's our fault, because we have been so separated from our morality that we accept this hookup culture rather than promoting traditional family to young people. And that's why I unapologetically promote traditional family. But I was talking to Kirsten, and I thought it was really powerful, because she is, what she does for a living, she's actually an emotional coach, I guess, for lack of a better term, and she helps people with anxiety and depression. And she talked about listening to her child. And I think one of the most, because I always like to learn from homeschool parents I speak with, and I think one of the most important lessons we can learn from Kirsten and the interview I did with her, and I'll post that to the Classical Learner YouTube page in the next few days. I've been so busy. I'm going to talk about that too, because I have another book coming out. I was up till like 1:30 in the morning, essentially getting that published. So, but it's so important that we as parents listen to our children, and that's where the root of unschooling comes in, and that's if you learn to do that, and you keep the process of learning fun and enjoyable, yet with purpose, you will be amazed at the progress you will see your young children make. So I really, that was a big takeaway from Kirsten, and I think everyone should check her page out. Bookshark is good curriculum, costs quite a bit, but it gives you a whole year curriculum. Can my husband and I join your live right now? What do you guys think? I mean, I don't like to impromptu let people join the live stream, but it sounds kind of interesting. How about you email me, classicallearnertoday@gmail.com, and I will schedule to have you and your husband on the live stream maybe sometime later this week or sometime next week. I'd be open to that. You're very welcome. I'm working on transitioning my son, but we are in Ohio. Well, I'm going to talk about getting started because I had a lot, because of the interview I did with Kirsten yesterday, I had a lot of families inbox me, hey, how do I get started with homeschooling? So I thought this was a good opportunity to go over that for some people. I'm 35, black, and have been married for 13 years and have 6 children. Well, you are what I call crushing. That is amazing, and you are one of the wealthiest people in the United States of America. And just keep doing what you're doing. That's great. Homeschool, and you won't regret it. 420 Drya in the house. What's the new book about? Yeah, so I was up last night, and I'm going to talk about this, and then I'll talk about getting started with homeschooling. But let me just, it's a good transition by the legendary 420 Drya into what I was doing last night. Joanna, hi, how are you doing? So yeah, last night I was up till like 1:30 in the morning getting my book essentially published. Now, it's going to take 2 weeks because I order a proof copy before I send it out to the public, make it available to the public. I learned that lesson the hard way one time in the Right to Bear Arms book. I actually realized after I formally published it that I spelt a word wrong, and then I had to go through all these hoops to get that fixed. And there's a few copies out there that will one day be worth millions of dollars that are just a few rare copies that the word is actually spelled incorrectly. I spelled roosters wrong. I wrote roasters. And that was embarrassing for me. So I do a proof copy these days. But so I was up and getting the book published, and it's a really exciting book. And I'm going to do a big unveiling party on the live stream and on TikTok, obviously, and everything in the next few weeks. But really, it's about, and it's really pertinent to everything that's happened in the last 2 years. You know, you could call it a rebuke on socialism, but really it's just about the dangers of taking free things. And at the start of the book, the pigs, they work hard for their food and they dig for their peanuts. And one day they come out and they see that the local farmers, these are wild pigs, the local farmers had left some peanuts laying around for them, and the pigs eat the peanuts, and the next day there's more peanuts, and more pigs join in, and eventually there's peanuts, but they're just inside of a fence. And some of the pigs go in, and then it's fine. Next day comes, all of the pigs go inside the fence because they're going to eat these free peanuts, and then clank. They're trapped by the farmers, and now they're not wild pigs anymore. And I think it's an important lesson. It's an archetype lesson, and it's actually deviates from the Cubs to Bears series. It's not Cubs to Bears. It's just a story I had come across, and I thought it should be a children's book. So that's what I do. Thank you. I'm proud. Hi. I have been homeschooled for many years, sent one out to college, and still 5 more to go. I think that's great, and you're doing a great job. To me, homeschool moms are like the modern day Rosie the Riveter, because whereas America's enemies allegedly used to be foreign, now they're subversive, and the real enemy to the American people is the Department of Education, right? The real enemy to the American people is the Center for You-Know-What Control, which is being used to justify all these unlawful, allegedly, mandates. Joanna, thank you so much. I really appreciate anyone that supports me. Tina, thank you so much. I really, and it's true. It's, I actually said that in the speech I gave to the Constitution Party National Committee a week ago, that homeschool mothers are the modern Rosie the Riveter, because anyone who's married and having lots of children and raising them right, keeping them out of the daycares, keeping them out of these government indoctrination centers, right? Because they're called public schools, but they're really government schools. And by school, they're indoctrination centers. And by keeping our children away from them and raising them right, that's the next generation of freedom fighters. And the thing is that these shills on television won't tell you, these shills on social media won't tell you, is that if you prevent a generation of children, just one generation of children, from going to sleep, then you don't have to wake people up anymore. Stop trying to wake up 30-year-olds And we should be spending all of our energy taking back the American education system, because if we do that one thing, within 20 years, we will take back the United States of America. That is how you take freedom. And that is why I do what I do every day. That is why I relentlessly attack the public education system. That is why I relentlessly and shamelessly encourage every parent I can to marry, have as many children as they can, and to homeschool those children. And if enough people do that and embrace morality, in 20 years, whoa, that generation will be a force to be reckoned with, and they will be large in numbers, let me tell you. I like Memoria Press. They have some good stuff. Balancing home budget and left career sacrifices made for our babies. And you know what? You are going to see the benefits of that for a generation, because by you educating your children, and hear my message, right? I talk so much about philosophy on these streams, right? If people who understand this basic 4-part premise, early childhood education should be about the process of learning, loving learning, critical thinking, skills over subject matter. Skills over subject matter. Teach your children to build with their hand, because a child who could take anything in their imagination, anything in their mind, and bring that into physical reality, right? And bring what's in their mind into physical reality, holds the key to unlock the full potential of their creative mind, right? Because if they can construct, they can build with their hands, they can do carpentry, they can do engineering, art, music, photography, videography, computer coding, where you can build entire universes, essentially, right? Then when they have ideas, they'll be able to physically produce those ideas, those products, those services in the real world. And then you combine that with entrepreneurial experience. And when I say entrepreneurial experience, I don't mean, hey, when little Johnny's 16 years old, he'll go to a trade school and then I'll, talk to him about business. No, what I mean is from the time your children are about 5 years of age, break semesters down in your mind into like 6-month blocks, just like they are with math and science. And make sure that you map out one entrepreneurial thing you can do every 6 months with that child, so that you're developing an abundance mindset, so that they're growing up with an understanding that doing entrepreneurial things and seeing entrepreneurial opportunities is just kind of, like everyone likes the TikTok, this is the way I live, right? That's just the way we live, right? And if you do that and you follow their interest and you develop their skills, by the time your children that you're homeschooling, that you are making a sacrifice, not just for your children, not just for your family, you're not just an amazing wife, you're not just an amazing mother, but you're an amazing member of the community, you're an amazing citizen of the United States of America, you're a member of my nation, because you are raising your children to be strong. They're going to make lots of money because you're raising them right, and you're going to see that wealth tenfold by the time your children are 30, and they will take care of you. So it's like, it's the best investment you can make is in your children. Like, we could work a job and get paid a salary, right? And that's an investment in someone else's business. If you stay home and raise your children right and invest in teaching them skills and entrepreneurial experience, well, you're investing in something that by the time they're 30, right? If you talk about like, how much time did you put in for money? Well, by the time they're 30, they're going to be crushers and they will take care of you. Okay? And you are not just a good member of your household. You're an amazing wife, an amazing mother. You are an amazing member of the community. You're an amazing member of this nation. And I'm honored that you're in my chat, because that's how we take back this country. And that's the messaging they don't want us to know. Like, they will allow people who are supposedly against the system to have millions of followers on YouTube, millions of followers on Twitter. But it's the people that show you how to build, right? How to really push back against the system in a grassroots way that are the most censored people on the internet, that are very difficult to find. People like Tom Burnett, people like Owen Benjamin, people who are teaching others how to beat the beast system by not engaging with it, but building from the grassroots level. And that's how you win freedom, and that's what they don't want you to know. That's what they fear more than anything else. It's like everyone talks about their pyramid of power with their all-seeing eye at the top, right? On the top, on our dollar bills, right? Like the Freemasons have their all-seeing eye on the dollar bill, right? Everyone talks about that stuff and like, oh man, you know, there's so much control from the top of our society, and the government has so much control, and the banks and the insurance companies, right? But they're all building, right? They're using their money, taking over social media companies. They used their money. They took over 6 corporations, control 90% of media, right? Like, you think there's diversity or variety in your choice, but it's all controlled by the same few people. Well, what they don't control is what you do on the grassroots level. And if they're building their pyramid, then we should be building our own pyramid of power, rooted in morality, rooted in traditional values, rooted in the American family, rooted in husbands and wives and babies and homeschooling and people starting their own businesses and having in-group preference and buying from each other instead of Walmart. This is how you win the future, right? So we have to build, and I can tell you from my interactions with people on social media, my experience every day, people are building in spades. And anyway, let me see what the people are saying. I do read your comments. He's going to give a bunch of info for this next. His Discord also has a bunch of info. Yes, my Homeschool's Connected, which is my private homeschool community, is a great resource. But I'm going to go through getting started with homeschooling right now. There needs to be mom job sites to support moms who choose. Yes, also look into like drop shipping, right? Do some basic research on drop shipping, pick a niche, and it's a great way to make money online. Also, like going to stores, like go to like Walmart you could use for this. Like go to Walmart or like stores like that, check out clearance, get stuff that's cheap, and then sell it on eBay for more money and flip it. Like these are great ways to make money online that anybody can do, which is great for running a business as a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home parent, and also having an income and being independent and secure, because all that's important, and we need that. We need that for our self-esteem. We need that for our egos. We need that for our family. And but there's so many different ways to make money in the modern world that it's such a travesty when you see children in daycares, because it's like, I don't know. The thought of my child being indoctrinated by these satanic people, it would break my heart, right? So it's like when we have the power to invest in our children, and by investing in our children, like I said, when they're 20, 30 years old, they'll take care of you. That's the best financial investment you can make. You know, why make money for a corporate boss when you could be sending out these legends into the world? So where can I start with my 8-year-old who goes to Catholic school? Should I decide to homeschool? I'm going to get into that right now. I teach college, and I'm going to homeschool the college students that are broken from the system. What 2 names did you mention again? I said Tom Burnett, Owen Benjamin. Looking to start homeschooling. Where do I start? Look for your... Okay, so that's a good transition. So your child's in public school or private school, and you're thinking about homeschooling. So what is the first thing we need to do? And I'm going to start with the basics. The first thing you need to do is go to hslda.org. I'll repeat that a few times. hslda.org. Homeschool Legal Defense Association.org. hslda.org. You go to their website, and they have the forms that are required in most states to legally, I'm not a lawyer, this is not legal advice, withdraw your children from public school. So you download the forms from hslda.org, and you submit that paperwork with, usually it's your local school district. In some states it might be other governing bodies, but usually it's just the school district. So you submit your intent to homeschool. And then when you do that, the next thing you want to do, before we think about curriculums, before we think about anything else, is we want to use the same website, hslda.org. Majestically Awkward, thank you for posting that. I really appreciate that. They have a map on their homepage with the United States of America. Click on the state that you live, right? And they list the regulations in that state. So different states have different regulations. So examples would be, in some states you have to have a GED to homeschool. In some states you have to have a high school diploma to homeschool. In some states there are certain subject matters that are legally required for homeschools to cover. In some states there are certain curriculum restrictions. In some states you have more flexibility with homeschool co-ops and groups. In some states you have less. So what you want to do, usually the rule is in most states is 51% of the instruction has to come directly from the parent, but that alters state to state. So by going to Homeschool Legal Defense Association and checking your regulations, the first thing, don't look at curriculum. Do that, familiarize yourself with the regulations, and this way you won't have any problems later on. The next thing I want you to do before curriculum is get your record keeping down packed. So you could also find that at hslda.org, the requirements for record keeping. And then there are services like Homeschool SkedTrack, which are free. Homeschool SkedTrack, 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 that are free. And they assist with record keeping. There are also paid services. Or if you don't want to use those services, you can do it yourself with like 3-ring binders and stuff. And usually what you want to document, and again, I'm not a lawyer, this is not legal advice. Go to Homeschool Legal Defense Association. But what you want to document is the subject matters covered, the grades your children received if you give them a grade. Now, that could be as much as, I asked Matthew a question, I liked his answer, right? There's not much restriction on how you determine those grades. But, again, depending on the state, you get it. So the subject you covered, the grades he's taken, the grades given, if possible, the materials used, and then like some portfolio work if possible. So like if you did a project, keep the project, save it in a binder. And then any extracurricular type activities you're doing, whether that's, Matthew is 10 years old and he goes to the local gym and that's his physical education. We went to a local museum and we covered, this at the museum. Sorry for the noise in the background. My father-in-law is working on that greenhouse I told you about as I'm sitting here and talking about homeschooling. But I'll be back building with him right after this. So that's something I look forward to doing. It's coming out great. I can't wait to show you. All right, so we've covered formal withdrawal from school, familiarizing yourself with the regulations, and getting the record keeping down packed. Now, can we get into curriculum? No. The next thing I want you to do is, you could go back and watch my old streams on this on the Classical Learner YouTube page, or you could just do some basic Google searches. But the next thing I want you to do is familiarize yourself with 4 things. Classical education, which is, if you want to write this down, when I say classical education, what you're looking for is the trivium. Trivium, the trivium. Classical education, which is the classical trivium of grammar, logic, and rhetoric. This is the education methodology that the elites throughout much of human history, I don't like to call them, they're not elites, but the people who attempt to control us throughout much of human history use to educate their own children. So it's something you want to familiarize yourself with. It's not overly complex. There's books like The Lost Tools of Learning by Dorothy Sayers, The Well-Trained Mind, which are nice reads on the classical education. Charlotte Mason, which is more of that living history type books. So like my book, The Bear from Jekyll Island, that I wrote on the banking system, is Charlotte Mason style living history which is fiction, like historical fiction, but it's based in reality to teach children historical events. Now, it could also be nonfiction, just living history, but it's kind of teaching history through story and other topics. Like there's a math book, Life of Fred, written in that Charlotte Mason style, which people swear by. So, and then like Charlotte Mason incorporates chores and responsibility into your homeschool. Like your children should have chores and be respectful and have manners, and it teaches all that. Montessori, which is all about setting up your children's learning environment. So like they have a building station, a music station, an art station, whatever it might be, a cooking station. They have a stool so they can stand up and cook with the family. The posters you put up are all at a children's eye level, not adult eye level, so that the children could see them. And then unschooling, which is, to me, the most powerful form of homeschooling. Everyone should be implementing some degree of unschooling. Everybody should be implementing some degree of unschooling. Everybody should be implementing some degree of unschooling. Everybody should be implementing some degree of unschooling, which is following the interest of your child so that you can use that interest to teach them skills, get them entrepreneurial experience. Oh, my wife. Get them entrepreneurial experience, teach them skills, follow their interest, and just follow their natural curiosity and love of learning. So those 4 methodologies that we want to familiarize ourselves with are classical education, Charlotte Mason, Montessori, and unschooling. Get a basic grasp on these philosophies. Now we can look into curriculum. But before we get to curriculum, this is really important for new homeschool families to understand. One of the biggest mistakes new homeschool families make is they think they have to replicate that very regimented 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. public school schedule that children hate in the first place. By the way, if you could smash the like button, it helps me reach new people, and I really appreciate it. So please smash the like button, share this. You know, you guys get it. So don't just jump right into 4 hours a day of formal schoolwork. Don't think that, all right, we're homeschooling, now we have to do 45 minutes of history, 45 minutes of English, 45 minutes of science. You understand what I'm saying. A lot of new homeschool families attempt to replicate that very regimented public school schedule, and then they get overwhelmed. The children feel like all they do is school. They don't want to learn. There's pushback. Getting children to do their work becomes a struggle. The parents are all stressed out. There's friction between the parent and the child. None of that. When you first start homeschooling, you should be doing at most 2 hours of formal schooling a day when you start. Now, if you want to adjust from there, you feel like you could take on more, you feel like your children are ready to take on more, by all means. When you start, at most 2 hours of formal schooling a day, because understand that, as an example, I was building a greenhouse yesterday. My son came outside. He wasn't going to sit with us for 6 or 7 hours building a greenhouse. He's 3. But I had him understanding that we do certain markings on the wood with pencil, that we make marks of where the holes are going to be. He was using the drill and drilling holes into the wood. Right, that's an education. He's learning the basics of carpentry and construction. He's learning about greenhouses, right? So don't take on too much when you first get into homeschooling. Then, now we can start to talk about curriculum. So I'm going to jump into that. Let me just read what you guys had to say. Majestically Awkward, thank you for sharing all of that information. I really appreciate it. Marine Princess, you're an absolute legend. My son just started designing hours. He's extremely excited. I love that, and I love the idea of allowing your children to have ownership, just like my son now has ownership over that greenhouse we were building. By allowing your children to participate in the choosing of their curriculum, they have ownership over it, and they're more likely to enthusiastically engage with it. We are giving Life of Fred books. My baby is only 3.5, so we are saving it for later. Yeah, people love the Life of Fred mathematics books for elementary school age students. My wife wanted to throw tomatoes at me. I will challenge you to a tomato fight. We are doing a civics course with our first grader and teaching him to be empowered as a citizen. Can you let me know what course you're using? Because I'm always looking for good, and if you like it, because I'm always looking for good course recommendations in that area. Because I work, I need curriculum 90% online. Yeah, Time for Learning and Abeka. Marine Princess, it's much more fun than I thought it would be. I'm still laughing. We do some unschooling. I have my son do online math programs. It's a struggle for him. If he's struggling, allow him to slow down. Look into the Life of Fred, but like don't make him rush, and sometimes less could be more. So like if he's struggling with math, a lot of times our instincts will be we need to do more math. Just say, okay, we're going to cut it down to maybe 20 minutes of math 3 days a week. Get it step by step and do the basics, because you have to remember that most people can't do math because of the terrible way math is taught in public school, where they rush you through it, right? We're trying to raise capable 18-year-olds. Education's a marathon, not a sprint. So if he's struggling with math, he's frustrated, maybe you're doing Time for Learning, great program. Have him do like 20 minutes every other day. Sit down with him, do it. Let him get the basics step by step, and he'll start to pick up on, those mathematic things. Don't worry about the arbitrary guidelines of some you-know-what at the Department of Education who is probably corrupt and I would say most definitely living an immoral life. So don't worry about the department. I mean, again, not legal advice or anything. Follow their guidelines, of course. I would never tell anyone not to follow their guidelines, but, don't feel their pressure. What do you think of Catholic schools? I think schools could be good, but you have to know the principal, you have to know the teachers, you have to be intimately involved and make sure that they're not teaching bad things and make sure that bad things aren't happening at the school. So, like anything with your children, you have to be on top of it. So if you're sending them to a school, get involved in the parent groups and just make sure you know everything going on. We designed it ourselves. It's a little loose. You designed a civics course yourself. Can you email me about it? I would love to hear more about it. We designed it ourselves, a little loose, but I'd be happy to share it with you. Yes, please do. classicallearnertoday@gmail.com. classicallearnertoday@gmail.com. They are doing the core math. It's horrible. Yeah, I don't like all that. I do things my way, and then I'll kind of, if you want them to learn like the Common Core, I guess dabble in it, but I'm not so big on that. Thank you for that struggle tip. Appreciate it with still trying to unschool with my mindset. Well, I stream every day, so I hope I can help you with that mindset, because I'm constantly giving examples. And for anyone that wants to join my private homeschool community, Homeschools Connected, $10 a month with the promotion code TOGETHER. That's TOGETHER. You get access to my curriculum research, the curriculum myself. If you inbox me in there, I always make it a priority to get back to you. And it supports me, which I think is a good thing. All right. Thank you. We do, just in case they decide they want to modify our DNA. Yeah, well, these days we're all worried about that, getting our genetics altered. Our rhinoceros NA. I have to speak in hobo code. So for curriculum, I mean, you could go any direction. It really just depends what you want. Like, Some people want more student-led curriculum. Maybe they don't have the time to put in. So like, yeah, there's curriculums like Time for Learning and Abeka, which are really good. Some people want everything like laid out for them, like this is what you're supposed to do at this time. Classical Conversations, right? Like Classical Conversation lays out everything for you. Like this is what you should be doing at 8 a.m. This is what you should be doing at 9 a.m. Like they really lay everything out. And if you like the classical education methodology, then they're very good for that, right? You know, Good and the Beautiful uses more of that Charlotte Mason. I love the Good and the Beautiful. That is the curriculum I'm going to start my children on. If your children are like preschool level, don't buy any formal curriculums. You don't need to do that. Like kindergarten, preschool, just go to ABC Jesus Loves Me or the all-in-one homeschool. They have entire curriculums, free and downloadable printables, like everything you need. Lesson plans laid out. But really at those ages, you should be unschooling. And then whatever curriculum you choose, I mean, ultimately what you want to do is just create an environment in your house where you're always learning. So like do that unschooling. Let your children, like if your children want to do cooking, man, let them cook dinner, let them cook really creative meals, hone their craft, help them get better at it, and then like help them put together bake sales, help them host cooking events for the family. Like there's so many different things you can do just following the interest of your children. Like even like a child that's into video games and like Fortnite, like, all right, well, Microsoft has a program which teaches children computer coding through Fortnite, and tell them that if that's what they like to do, then they have to be serious with using it to get, you know, using that interest to get better at things. So like you could have them learn computer coding, code their own website. You could have them get into merchandise and maybe like create shirts on a site like Gearbubble, put it on their website and sell it. They could host Fortnite tournaments because they're organizing, like where they could have all their friends come over. They could host tournaments. They could sell products. Like unschooling, there's just so much you can do with educating your children. But whatever you do, keep it fun, keep it loose. And, you know, that doesn't mean skirt responsibility, because responsibility is important. And just teach your children and then understand their learning style. Like some children are more auditory in their learning. So like let them listen to audiobooks. Let them use Amazon KDP. Some children are more visual, right? Let them watch things. Some children are more tactile. So make sure they're doing a lot of hands-on assignments. Don't fight the way your child learns. Don't fight your children's interests. Follow their interests. Let them learn in a way that is natural to them, and keep things fun and loose, and use that to teach them the things you want them to learn, like skills, and more skills. Because while gender studies and a college degree in feminism are nice, it's ultimately skills that free a person. Because a man who could build things with his hand, like I'm watching my father-in-law right there, genuinely one of the most impressive human beings you will ever meet. And he is able to install HVAC systems, install security systems, build sheds and greenhouses with his hands. When you have that type of skill set and you pair it with entrepreneurial experience, you are raising a person that will ultimately be an independent and free person that doesn't rely on the government, doesn't rely on a corporate boss. And isn't that what we want for our children? Isn't that the point of an education? Not being able to regurgitate some politically driven historical nonsense decided by some prick at the Department of Education? By the way, if anyone ever wants to go back through like my YouTube channels when I post these streams and clip some of these things, it would be so helpful to me if people clipped some of these rants I go on and like post them on YouTube. You could just post them on TikTok, post them all over the place. I don't care. It would be so helpful to me because I really, I'm like a one-man marketing machine. Like that's why like I unapologetically market my books. Like who's doing it for me? You know, like the New York Times isn't going to publish what I do. They hate what I do. Like they don't like people like me. So I unapologetically promote my books because my books I made them myself. Like I pray for that material. Like the stuff that I'm building infrastructure that parents can use, whether that's my homeschool community, whether that's my books, that will ultimately lead to the next generation being free and independent and living much better lives. So like, I know I'm helping people. I know I'm helping the world. So, and that's why I unapologetically put my books on the end of all my stuff. Because like, you know, at first I felt funny about that because I'm like, I don't know, like it feels weird selling all the time. But no, I realized that like if I'm going to be independent and free and I'm going to make a difference in this world, I have to sell all the time. And like if you guys, anyone who wants to help, like go back through my YouTube stuff. You could make clip channels. You could post them to TikTok. Like all of that stuff helps. Like even stuff to push my books. Like anything that you guys can do, I can't tell you how greatly appreciated it would be from my end. So, you know, this is a tough world. Like I'll tell you, man, this world, it smacks you in the face. Like I have tough days like everyone else. I have days where I feel beat up and like, you know, like last night I was up till 1:30 in the morning trying to get this book ready to publish, and I have like 2 coming out in the next month. And like, you know, like I couldn't post good TikToks today. Like I woke up at 8 o'clock because God bless my wife. She woke up at like 4 because I was up until like 1:30. And, you know, 8 o'clock, and then I had like, you know, busy work stuff that I had to get done. Like I just didn't have the time to do the creative stuff. But these streams, I mean, what I'm finding is like some of these rants I'm able to go on talking about freedom, talking about liberty, talking about books, talking about educating children, talking about God, are really powerful. I don't have the time to go back through them and clip them. But anyone who could do that, man, God bless you. I really appreciate it. So I put myself out there and hope my request is answered. All right, my wife is crushing in the chat. Brandy, awesome. You should incorporate some herbal. Yes, herbal stuff. I did do an old episode. It's on, if you go to my Instagram page, Classical Learner Today, I did an interview with Poella Brown, who has the Poella Brown homeopathy curriculum for children that I actually found out about through my sister when she was doing it with my nieces. Really cool curriculum. Check her stuff out. And she gave me a promo code, so Classical Learner, you get 10% off on that. And I think she pays me 10% of the purchase price on that. But really cool stuff. Poella Brown teaches your children about homeopathy, teaches your children about herbal remedies, like where cinnamon comes from, how to put certain remedies together when you might not be feeling good to allegedly, could it be, make yourself feel better. You know, just, I'm not using any words that, you know, the people that love to ban everyone would like to get mad at me for, but just like, you know, if you want to feel better, if maybe you're having a down day with a runny nose, I don't know, teach your children about that type of stuff. Mrs. Classical Learner, that's incorporating some of our other learning. That's amazing. Thank you. I have been wanting to homeschool, but just worried. And you won't mess it up. You will do. All right. Think about all of the things that public school indoctrinates children with. Like, critical race theory is disgusting. It's antithetical to the message of Martin Luther King, right? They're teaching children that you should, in fact, judge each other and categorize, even worse, categorize each other based on the color of their skin. Like, you don't want your children to learn that. Like, just by pulling them out, you're being successful. And trust me, make learning, like, you don't have to do that 4 hours of formal schooling. Like, there's people like me, I'll guide you. Embrace kind of that unschooling. Like, keep it formal, get a curriculum, use it as a guideline so you have stuff to do. And like, I don't want to create different stuff that I have to do every day. Like, I'm busy. I want stuff laid out for me. Like, I appreciate curriculums with stuff laid out, but I don't have to follow it to the letter. Like, I'll do it at my pace. I'll incorporate some unschooling. Your children will do phenomenal. Phenomenal. I love your books. Thank you. Thank you for the roses. I really appreciate that, guys. Do you know a good program for kids that have ADHD? Yeah, my best advice for children with ADHD is to get them like nature journaling stuff. I forget the names of them, but there's a really good nature journaling. I'm not trying to block you on a paywall. It's in my Discord. Anyway, just go on Amazon and type in nature journaling for children, and there's a ton of good books on that, where children are outside, they're engaging with nature, just any type of books that could give you activities. And like, you go on Pinterest, forget about it. Just the amount of, like, the homeschool community is next level. If you go on Pinterest, like, there's a ton of activities. If you go on to Instagram, there is Little Piners Learning. She is phenomenal. Tara at Little Piners Learning. Like, she has probably forgotten more about homeschooling than I know, Little Piners. She is just next level. And all she does all day is post nature stuff you can do with children. So, like, rather than have your children sit down for an hour, if they have ADHD, like, let them do 20, 30 minutes of instruction, and then let them go run around. And that could be just free running around outside. Get the televisions off, though. Turn the TV off. But that could be free running around outside, or that could be, like, doing nature stuff with them so that they're getting that energy out in a less formal way. It could be cooking assignments. Like, if your child has ADHD, don't fight that. And certainly, I mean, I don't give advice in this area because, you know, there's people that are authoritarian, but, like, don't do what, you know, certain people in lab coats would tell you to do, because that shuts off your child's mind, right? Like, that's their spark. That's their divinity. That's their Holy Spirit. Don't shut your children down like that. It's okay for children to be hyper. Too many people call me. All right. Gift you could give them. I just started homeschooling. My son is a 5th grader. Yeah, check out those Life of Fred books. Make sure it's age appropriate, but everyone loves the Life of Fred math books. I love Poella Brown. It's a great curriculum. Yeah, she's. I did a video. People like, you know, oh, you have a promo code. I did a video stating that she was one of my favorite grassroots curriculums about 2 weeks prior to hooking up with her, and then people had actually tagged her, like, look, this guy made this video about you. She wrote, thank you for posting this under my video. So then I was like, oh, great. I inboxed her. I was like, yeah, I love your curriculum. I'd love to have you on the stream. And, you know, next thing, one thing led to another, and now I have a promo code. So I love Poella Brown. She's a great curriculum. And very impressive woman. Very impressive. Is there funding for homeschooling? I've actually been meaning to look into that, if there's, like, scholarships for homeschooling. I'm not quite certain. When marshmallow roots come back in stock, I will be making marshmallow with the actual herb. My wife is such a crusher. She's an acupuncturist, by the way. I'm new to all this. Well, you're in the right place. I'm with Brandy. Thank you for typing so I could screenshot. Hello, lovely folks. Do you suggest deschooling after public school? If so, for how long? Yeah, I don't think you have to rush right into schooling. I always tell parents the biggest mistake you make is you try to replicate that structured 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. schedule. Like, when you first start homeschooling, keep it very loose. You know, maybe do like an hour of formal stuff, right? No big deal. Keep it loose. And then just, like, start doing the unschooling stuff at first. So, like, you know, whatever it might be. If your child's into photography, there are, you know, you could go outside, have your child take cool photographs of nature, stuff like that. And then there are, like, cool programs. Again, I'm not trying to paywall you. I just don't have my Discord in front of me, but I have programs listed, like photography programs designed to teach 4-year-olds photography, like about lighting and shading and how to make pictures look beautiful. And, like, that's such a good skill. So just when you first start, keep it loose. Yes, get our babies out of the system. Tailor the learning to what the child needs. Exactly. Do you have any advice on homeschooling while still needing to work? Yeah, full time. So you don't have to school during typical hours, right? Although it's still very stressful because you're working and you don't want, like, I come home from work and now I have to do some formal stuff with my child and I want to just hang out with them and let them be children. One of the best things you could do is go on Facebook, find some local Facebook homeschool co-ops, or if you have friends, and like see if you could work out an agreement where like you take their children for a day, your children go to their house for 4 hours one day, and like kind of split up the homeschooling so it's not such a burden on you. Other things you can do is like call local museums in your area, call like Adhd, the bounce place, or like Bounce You, and ask if they hold events for homeschool families, or your local gym, because a lot of times they do. Go to those events, do some networking, develop relationships, and start to see if you could kind of co-homeschool with families. But you have to trust them, obviously, and make sure that your children are always going to report everything that happens to you, because you have to be very careful in this world. So, also, my private homeschool community, I'd be remiss if I didn't plug my homeschool community. I do have an apparatus for hooking up with people in your state, but I don't have enough members yet where like it's just the country's too big. I don't have enough members yet where it's really functional. But like once I have like 1,000 members in there, I think people in my homeschool community are actually going to form little co-ops and start meeting up, and I'm going to be really cool. And if that happens, I might even like fly out to their co-ops, kind of pimp their co-ops out myself and do like video documentaries on it, because but I'm a dreamer. Anyone who watches me for like a day knows I'm a big thinker, kind of a dreamer. So like hopefully I get there, but if God decides that's the journey I'm supposed to go on, then I'll get there. And if God decides I'm supposed to fail, then I'll fail, and I'll know that there's a message that I'm supposed to learn from that failure. So, and never despair. Where do I buy your books? Check the link in my TikTok profile for my books. I like having curriculum set. Grab a page, but it's just a baseline. We've been unschooling for a few months. We plan on doing a curriculum in January. What curriculum? Is it Loving Nature with Children? Can't remember, but there's a program. I'm gonna screenshot that. There's so many good nature programs. Like when I built out my homeschool community, I kind of ignored that aspect of it, because there's literally like everywhere you go in the homeschooling community, there's nature stuff. And like I said, Little Piners Learners, Little Piners on Instagram, endless amount of nature stuff. And just type in nature homeschooling books on like Amazon, and a ton will come up. What is the username for that? Homeschools Connected. You can find the link in my TikTok profile. Use the promotion code TOGETHER, $10 a month. What was her name again? Not sure who you're talking about. Was that Poella? Yes, Poella Brown. Paola. Paola. Yes, ADHD kids are amazing. Yes, they are. Let them be hyper if they're going to be hyper. Just try to channel it if you can. Thank you so much. So this person is saying, I have to be careful how I word things, that they had ADHD as a child, and the recommendations of people in a lab coat, they are saying, quote unquote, this person in their personal experience is saying ruined their adulthood. Now, I don't like to say it ruined your adulthood, because you're an adult now, and today's a new day, right? There's never despair, and wake up and know that you're going to crush today, and just start doing little things, and over time, you will start to get stronger and stronger. By the way, tell Tara at Little Piners that I sent you. I see you told Little Piners. She's a friend of mine. She had 100,000 followers when I had literally 1,000 followers, and she is so based and such a moral person that she saw what I was doing was cool and just started sharing my stuff out. She has a TikTok account, by the way, but she's primarily on Instagram. But follow her on TikTok too. But I was like no one. Like I had no following, and she was sharing my stuff out. Like Tara is so based, and I'm so thankful for people that helped me out before I had any following. Like, and that's why I try to help people out who have small followings, because like that's how you build a better society. And Tara helped me out, Little Piners, and I'm forever grateful. Like if she ever needs anything, I'm in her corner. So thanks. We'll look into that. Middle schooler. how I found you. How do I find you on Discord? Yes, Homeschool's connected. Check the link in my TikTok profile. Use the promotion code TOGETHER. Thank you, hslda.org. I had to leave the live, but didn't write the website for the forms. Yes, my wife just said hslda.org for the homeschool forms. There is a link in his bio. Click that. You will see Homeschool's connected. That is his Discord. Amen. I want to homeschool. Sadly, our nature here is dirt. Well, you could do fun things with like gardening and figuring out how to plant seeds. Oh, you could do composting. Okay. Go on Amazon and do composting for children, or like worm kits for children. They have such cool learning stuff for that. Or like butterfly gardens. Homeschool Dad here, also founder of Roman Road Press and Kepler Education, both homeschool business. I'm not familiar, but if you want to email me, Classical Learner Today, I'll take a look. classicallearnertoday@gmail.com. And he is saying his company is a Roman Road Press and Kepler Education. And he is a homeschool company, so that's really cool. I'm from Canada. Does that matter? No, of course not. And hslda.org should have the information you need for Canada. Joy comes in the morning. Yes, it does. You talked about the ADHD kids. What about ADHD parents who struggle with planning? If you struggle with planning, I would buy a formal curriculum. Like, I really like Good and the Beautiful. Like, I think they have lesson plans. You don't have to follow them to a letter. They give you everything you need in terms of the forms, and then, you can go and do your thing with unschooling and just kind of, like, just make, like, check boxes. Like, twice a week I'm going to do cooking. Twice a week I'll do photography. Twice a week we'll do art, painting, whatever it might be, and just, try to organize yourself a little bit. Can you do composting without a yard? Yeah, you just need a bin. In fact, composting's all on bin. So what you're really teaching them is how, like, banana peels and stuff break down, right? How they break down, and that adds nutrients into the soil. And you could teach them what's actually happening, like the physical process, as you're physically doing it, right? Like, just look up the process and then go over it with them, what's happening. But they're doing the composting. You add the worms to the compost. You point out how the worms are forming tunnels in the dirt, and that's allowing the water and the nutrients to get into the dirt. Then when the compost is done, you plant the seed, the roots are going down, they're sucking up the nutrients, and you just keep building from there. Love the Good and the Beautiful. Also, gather around. Yes, okay, you're my favorite person ever now. All right, so I came across Gather Round, and I loved their curriculum, and then I forgot the name of it, and I was trying to find it again, and I couldn't find it. I was like, I guess I'll never know. Gather Round. Yes, they do have very impressive unit studies, which I believe many of them are centered around birds and nature. I'm getting so much information here. Thank you so much. Yeah, smash the like button, share this. I stream every day at 12 noon. This is an awesome idea. So, anyway, I think I covered a lot here. I stream every day at 12 noon. My private homeschool group, Homeschool's Connected. Use the promotion code TOGETHER, $10 a month. You get access to my research, the community, myself, and you support me, which I think is really cool. That money goes back into the community. That money goes back into my book production and everything that is the Classical Learner Company. By the way, I was contacted by someone who actually did the logo design for my company, and he brought up the idea of creating a board game. And I am thinking about creating a board game designed to teach children liberty. So I think that's something that might be down the pipe. That 2022, I think maybe if I work on it with him, like October 2022. But I can't tell you how excited I would be if I was able to create an educational board game designed to teach children liberty that I could coincide with the books. I think that would be so cool. So I post the replays to the Classical Learner YouTube channel. They're on like a week delay. I'm the worst with getting them up, but I do post them there. Classical Learner Today on Instagram, Classic Learner Classical was taking. On Twitter, Classical Learner. On Gab, I love Gab as a platform, by the way. Everyone should support them. What Andrew Torba is doing over there is really cool for free speech in a day where everything is so censored. I mean, Torba, the infrastructure he's built is just, he's an impressive guy. It literally just gets better. Continents, science units. Oh, gather around. All right, I got to get that into my Discord because I was looking for it. I couldn't find it. Another unit study. Extra. Not. Oh, yes, you're the best. Okay, boom. Another unit study. Extra, not full curriculum, is Campfire Curriculums. Check them out. I haven't heard of them, but this is why the homeschool community is the best. Campfire Curriculums and Gather Around. These are good for your ADHD child kind of getting out there into nature. There's also a Bear Grylls curriculum that's, again, I'm not trying to put that behind a paywall, but I do have in my Discord, which is like introduction to camping through Bear Grylls. Yes, that would be great. What real options can be. Thank you for Gather Around resource. So, all right, guys, this has been awesome. I'll be back tomorrow at 12. If you guys have any questions before I go, let me know. But my father-in-law is over there crushing, building a greenhouse, and I'm over here talking into the phone, so I should probably help him. Thank you for the Gather Around resource. What's good for teens, 13, 14. So, all right, I'm going to actually deviate on that. So, like, your teenager's 13 or 14, and you're probably thinking formal curriculum. When you have a 13 or 14-year-old, in your mind, you have to think, I want them to be running a profitable and successful business by the time they're 18 years old. So my challenge to you, and if you want to join my homeschool community, and you can literally inbox back and forth with me, I'll help you with this. My challenge to you is to identify the interest of your child and then figure out how you could guide them to develop a skill and use that skill to start doing basic business things to get them on a track so that they run a business and they're independent and free by the time they're 18 years old. There's no reason your 18-year-old can't be making $50,000 a year already, but you just have to start guiding them at age 13, 14 to do that. So we're thinking a little bit differently here, but I think it's something you can do. So, all right, this has been a lot of fun. I'll be back tomorrow at 12 noon. Freedom isn't free. We have to earn it every day. And I'll be back tomorrow at 12 to earn mine. Yeah, sorry, before I go, I just read a comment. The Dave Ramsey curriculum. Dave Ramsey has the Financial Peace Junior Kit, which is for like 4-year-olds, which is a really cool introduction to financial literacy. And he also has other programs, but the name's eluding me right now. But Financial Peace Junior. So, all right, guys, freedom isn't free. We have to earn it every day. I'll be back at 12 noon tomorrow to earn it.